You guys know how I said yesterday that, you can expect a review from me by Monday about the Crippled God? Well, I lied. I actually stayed up all last night and finished it, so here is my review right now. First of all, wow. I mean, wow. Wow. Yeah. Um, the Crippled God is exactly what this series needed for an ending. There were multiple times throughout this book, halfway, three quarters, in the final section, where I was like, how is Erikson possibly going to wrap up this series? I mean, this is a series of 10 absolutely massive books. So many plot threads, so many characters. How can he possibly wrap this all together? And yet somehow the man does it. He sets up stories and plots throughout the series, and he just brings them all together with this one. And the way he does it is incredible. The way that this man has written these last 10 books now has been stunning to read. I mean, this series is seriously unlike anything else I have ever read. I will have a video up shortly after this review talking about whether you should read Mal's Book of the Fallen since I have finished it, and I'll have an answer for you guys then. But this book is incredible. I mean, the action in this is very well done, and this is probably the most action-packed Malazan book in the series. And that's a high bar for entry because this series has a ton of action. Every book in this series is filled with action. But this Erikson put his foot to the floor and he didn't let up for a single second. There were plot lines I had complained about in Dust of Dreams that he brought into this, and somehow, despite me still not being a huge fan of Dust of Dreams, he made them redeemed in this book. I mean, I'm sorry, Erikson, I wasn't familiar with your game. I should have been waiting to see the bigger picture, but now I have seen the bigger picture, and I'm stunned by it. This dude gives us everything in this book. He lore drops on us. He expands the world. He gives us great characters, and no spoilers. But I would be shocked if one of your favorite characters doesn't make it out by the end. I didn't cry in this book, but he did tug on my heartstrings quite a bit, quite a bit. There were a lot of scenes where I was like, it was close. I mean, it takes a lot for me to cry over a book. But I was emotionally impacted by this. I mean, this is seriously, I've come to love these characters and seen them kind of come to this final convergence. I'll use the word Erikson uses, this final convergence of powers to ultimately try and just do what's right is really heartwarming. This series is filled with misery. This series is filled with a lot of bad stuff. I'll get into that with my series review and whether you should read it or not. But this series is dark. You know what I mean? Like this series is fairly dark. But man, this book is like the shining beacon of, hey, you know what? we are capable of doing good. We are capable of just doing the right thing. And if we can just focus on that, then maybe we can leave a world better for our children. And isn't that important? And that to me, that thematic idea really resonates, obviously, because I'm gonna be a dad soon. But in general, that's, I think, what we as humans need to be fighting for, is not ourselves or what we want, but for the betterment of our fellow men and women. And we want to make sure we leave a world that our children can be proud of. We don't want them to be the inheritors of ashes. We want them to be the inheritors of gold, and that is ultimately what I think Erikson is trying to do here. So yeah, this book is just fantastic. It's not my favorite in the series. I will admit the end is not my favorite in the series. There's nothing wrong with this book at all. I just like another one a little bit more. But yeah, this is the exact conclusion that this series needed. There are still questions to be answered. So, if you get to book 10 and you're wondering, oh, I wonder what happened to that plot thread, the answer is that it's probably in one of the other Malazan books, okay? There are more Malazan books. There are several other Malazan books, prequels, sequels, side stories. So, if you're like me and you've enjoyed this series for 99% of it and you want more of it, don't worry, because the Crippled God is not the end. This is just the gateway drug. The main 10 is just the gateway drug into the greater universe, where we kind of see more characters on the side that we've maybe seen in the main series. So, if you're sad when you finish this because you're like, oh, I want it more, don't worry, dude or lady. You're going to get more. There are more books in this series, and the two authors who co-wrote this series are still putting them out, like almost every year or something crazy like that. I mean, it's insane the amount of stuff they're putting out. But I do think that this series ends where it needs to, and it pulls together the plot threads that it needs to. And I'm stunned by how well written it was consistently, and how much I enjoyed it overall. So yeah, this it's just a really good series. It is a difficult series. It's a difficult book. It's dense, it's dark, but it's well worth reading. So yeah, The Crippled God, I'm going to give a 9.8 out of 10. It is my third favorite in the series, right behind Toll the Hounds and The Bone Hunters. And I think it's an absolutely wonderful conclusion to this absolutely epic story. And I sincerely hope, if you have watched my reviews of this series, you have enjoyed them up until this point. And yeah, that's what I got for this video.